Hello guys, now we're going to look at some hot topic here about barracks. Everybody talks about this, and if you want to build a barrack, should you build it in a single or a double production province? New players will say, I don't have a clue, while experienced players will say, build them in a double production province. Almost all experienced players say that, but I have actually heard quite a few that say, no, you're wrong. I calculated this and it's better to build in single production province. For some reason. So I'm going to have a look at the math and just tell you what is the right answer to this. And while we do this, we will also look at if it's any difference between building two barracks in separate provinces or instead building a barrack up to level 2 in the same province. And I can tell you no, there's actually a difference. So I'm going to tell you which one to choose there also. So let's go and check my pictures I made here to make it obvious or a little bit more understandable. Here are the facts of the recruiting times if you have 100% morale in a single production province and a double production province. You see it's 32, 24 or 16 hours depending if you have a barrack, no barrack at all, barrack level 1 and level 2. And half the times is on the double production. That's fairly easy to know. It's always half the time. So check the next slide. Number of units recruited in 96 hours. And why did I pick 96 hours? Yes, because that number is divisible by all these hours that we talked about, 32, 24, 16, and 8, 12 also. 96 can be divided into all of these, so it's very easy to count. That's why I chose the 96 number. And you see, if you divide it, you see how many units you get for that time period in a single production province with no barrack, but 100% morale. You get 3 units in 96 hours. If you have level 1, 4 units, etc. So, okay, let's start comparing. Next slide here. We have 2 provinces and barrack level 1 built in the single province. That means if you choose to build your barrack in the single production, that will give you 4 units, as we saw in the last slide, of these 96 hours. And your double production with no barrack will give you 6 units in these 96 hours. That will give you a total of 10 units. And this is exact by the minute if you have 100%. So if you choose to build your barrack in your single production province, you will get 10 units out of these 2 provinces in 96 hours. And now we will have a look what happens if you instead choose to build that barrack in the double production. Here we go. Actually, it's 11 units because you only get 3 units from the single province, but from the double province it goes up to 8. So you actually earn 1 more unit for every 96 hours if you choose to build in the double province. So obviously most of the experienced players are right, and if the other experienced players that doesn't believe this, ask them to check this video. Okay, let's move on. I'll see what happens if you have a level 2, how much it differs then. If you build a level 2 in the single province and you keep the double province with no barrack, it's a total of 6 plus 6, 12. But instead, if you choose to build the barrack level 2 in the double, it's 15. So you actually make 3 more units if you go to the next level of the barracks. So it's actually very important to always build barracks in your double production provinces if you want barracks at all. I don't like them that much because they keep up a lot of grain, but if you build, you should definitely do it in the double production. So okay, for the next question we talked about, if I want to build 2 barracks or 1 barrack to level 2, what is the difference? Is there any difference if I do that? Well, we check that also. And we start with if we do it in the single production, which we know is not the best way to do it, but let's check anyway. Okay, here you built 2 barracks level 1 in 2 different single production provinces. Then they both give you 4 units for 96 hours. It's 8 in total. And let's have a look what happens if you instead build the level 2 in one of them and just keep the other one without barrack. It actually comes up to 9. You have 3 units there and 6 units in the barrack level 2. So you make 1 unit if you do it in a single production province. And of course, then we could realize now that we make even more profit from this if we do it in the double. And we start with looking at if you build 2 separate barrack level 1 in 2 double production provinces, you get 8 plus 8, 16 units on the 96 hours. So what happens if I instead build in only one of them, but level 2? It goes up to 18. You get 6 from the one without barrack, and you get 12 from the one. So even here, you make more recruitment if you choose to build level 2. So let's just sum this up. The conclusion, this is what you have to remember. You don't have to remember the numbers, but remember these 2 things. Always build barracks in double producing provinces rather than single. That's rule number 1. And rule number 2, always build 1 barrack level 2 instead of 2 barracks level 1, regardless of where you build it. But it's always best to do it in a double. But it's always also better to build 1 to level 2 than 2 single barracks level 1. So now that was the question to all these. That was the answer to all these questions, I should say. I hope this made you more clear in your head. Or maybe I just messed everything up for you. We'll see.